Laura. My name is Hannah, and I'm from the great state of Maine. And I was wondering if you could talk more about high-yield savings accounts, what you should use them for, and if you have any personal recommendations. I also, as a side note, I love how you say finance instead of finance. I don't know why. I'm just so tickled about that. Thanks so much, Laura. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Hannah, for your question and funny comment. Yes, I love podcasting about finance. And Maine is a great state. My husband and I spent a little time there a few years ago in Portland and drove up the coast for several days in Bar Harbor. It was so much fun. Yeah, you live in a beautiful place. We have another question from Jane F., who says, "Hello, Laura. I'm a new listener to your podcast and truly enjoy your shows. I have $5,000 to invest for short-term gains, like 5 years. And CDs are the only investments I know of. Can you advise on other investment options I should explore?" Jane, thanks so much for being a new listener, and I really appreciate the question. This podcast will answer Hannah and Jane's questions by exploring how to make the most of your savings. I'm going to review 4 strategies to earn more interest with options that go beyond a basic bank savings account while also keeping your money safe. And before we get started, I want to thank you for spending time with me this week. I'm Laura Adams, an author, media spokesperson, and money speaker who's been hosting the Money Girl podcast since 2008 with over 42 million downloads. I'm also the founder of The Money Stack, a weekly newsletter and community helping you build your bank account on your terms. It includes each week's Money Girl podcast, money tips, tools, things I enjoy, Q&As, and invitations to live educational events and video replays. So much good stuff. So I would love for you to subscribe for free at lauradadams.com. And if you're not already subscribed to this podcast, that's the best way to ensure you never miss an episode. And I always love getting your questions and comments. You can leave them on our voicemail line at 302-364-0308, just like Hannah did, or you can send me an email using my contact page at lauradadams.com. All right, so let's get started on how to earn more with your savings. If you're like Jane and you've got some money earmarked for short-term goals like emergencies, or maybe it's purchases you want to make within the next few years, it should be saved instead of invested. Since investing involves risk, it's only suitable for your mid and long-term goals, like those you want to achieve in about 5 years or more into the future. Keeping your short-term savings safe from investment risk and any market volatility is the best way to ensure you're going to be able to spend those funds when you need to, which is likely why Jane is considering CDs or certificates of deposit. First, I just want to mention that I consider CDs a savings vehicle, not an investment, because they're a deposit account that pay a set interest rate with virtually zero risk. And I'll explain more about CDs and other great savings options so you know which is best for you. The bottom line is that savvy savers like Hannah and Jane are always looking for ways to earn more interest. And so I want to encourage you to do the same thing with your savings. So let's go through 4 great ways to earn more interest on your savings. Number 1 is a high yield savings account, or HYSA. So Hannah asked about high yield savings accounts. And Hannah, these are terrific options for your short-term savings needs. While a typical bank savings account might pay an annual percentage yield, or APY, of 0.2%, a high yield account might pay over 5% APY. That's a huge difference. And by the way, don't miss Money Girl episode 799 called High Yield Savings Accounts, Pros, Cons, and Tips for Choosing One, where I cover high yield savings accounts in great detail. But I'm going to give you an overview here. So a high yield savings account is an excellent choice if you want your money accessible while earning a competitive interest rate. They operate like regular savings accounts, but typically pay substantially higher interest because online banks offer them without the high cost of maintaining physical branches. So the bank's savings gets passed to customers through higher interest rates, allowing your money to earn more. Opening a high-yield savings account at a bank or even a credit union insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, or National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, those protect your funds up to a legal limit if the institution fails. Both insurance types cover up to $250,000 per depositor per ownership category, such as owning an individual account or a joint account. So I always encourage looking for high-yield savings that do come with those insurance, either FDIC or NCUA. Most high-yield savings allow you to access funds through online platforms, mobile apps, and debit or ATM cards. Your ability to make deposits, withdrawals, and transfers anytime make it a great place for your emergency money and any money allocated for short-term goals. The primary downside of a regular savings or a high-yield savings is that they offer variable interest rates that get tied to the federal funds rate, which means the APY can move up or down at any time. Also, some high-yield savings offer sign-up bonuses or higher rates for new customers that may decrease after a promotional period. Some of the highest rates may only apply to tiers of deposits, such as amounts over $5,000 or $10,000, with lower balances qualifying for a lower interest rate. In addition, high-yield savings may require you to maintain a balance, or maybe even to make a certain number of monthly deposits to qualify for top rates. So you want to be sure you understand the terms that you've got to meet to keep an enticing APY. Another disadvantage is that you may not have a physical branch to visit. As I mentioned, they're often online. So if you prefer face-to-face customer service, or maybe if you need to deposit cash regularly, a high-yield savings may not be the best choice. You will have to decide if it's worth the additional interest that you can earn on your money. Hannah, there are many terrific FDIC-insured high-yield savings accounts, but Betterment is one of my favorites. Right now, they're offering new customers up to 5.5% APY for 3 months. And then it goes down to 5%. So that's an example of a promotion. Another great option is the Platinum Savings from CIT, especially when you plan to deposit higher balances. They're currently paying 5.05% APY on balances over $5,000. I'll put links to these in the show notes, and there'll be more resources for you as we go through the rest of the podcast. So just refer to the podcast description, and I'll have all of these options and resources linked up for you there. Okay, the second way to earn more interest on your savings is with a money market account, or MMA. A money market account is another great way to earn more interest on your savings, typically with FDIC or NCUA insurance. They're like a regular or high-yield savings because they do pay a variable interest rate. However, they usually come with features that make it even easier to access your funds. For example, an MMA may come with a debit card and paper checks, giving you more ways to tap your cash or send payments. With high-yield savings, you may only have an online platform, an ATM card, or online transfers to withdraw money. But, it's just going to depend on the individual institution. However, money market accounts and high-yield savings can limit the number of monthly withdrawals, such as the money you take out via ATMs, paper checks, and online transfers. They can limit it to 6 per statement cycle, or 6 per month typically. And going over a withdrawal limit means you could get charged a fee for each additional transaction. But this is very much up to the individual institution. So you want to understand your bank or credit union's savings and money market withdrawal rules before opening an account. You don't want to get stuck getting charged a fee if you need to take more withdrawals than you expect. While a money market may even charge a monthly service fee, it could pay a higher interest rate than a high-yield savings, especially if you maintain a high balance. Or it may waive service fees if you keep a minimum balance. So it is possible to find high-yield savings paying more interest than a money market account. For instance, Discover currently offers a money market paying 4% APY for balances under $100,000 and 4.05% for balances of $100,000 or higher. So, you see you can get higher options with a high yield savings right now. So always shop for accounts paying the highest APY that also charge the lowest or no monthly fees based on how much you plan to deposit and maintain in an account. Also, be aware that there is a similar sounding financial product called a money market fund. This is an investment and it does not have FDIC insurance. It is not a deposit account. A money market fund is an investment. All right, the third way to earn more on your savings is with a rewards checking account. Now, I know when you want to earn more interest on savings, you might not consider a checking account. Well, rewards checking can pay competitive variable interest rates if you meet the requirements. A reward account operates like a regular checking, but it imposes rules for you to qualify for the highest interest rates. For instance, you may have to keep a minimum balance, make monthly direct deposits, or even use a debit card for a certain number of monthly transactions. And the APY could be similar to a high-yield savings if you regularly meet the eligibility requirements. The main upside of rewards checking is instant and unlimited access to your funds while earning competitive interest. That's because there are no potential monthly withdrawal limits with a checking account. You've always got unlimited withdrawals. A good rewards checking right now is from Axos Bank, which pays a $300 sign-up bonus and up to 3.3% APY. It charges no fees and reimburses all domestic ATM fees. All right, the fourth way to earn more on your savings is with a certificate of deposit or CD. So the accounts we've covered so far, high yield savings, money market accounts, and reward checking accounts have variable interest rates that can go up or down, as I mentioned. Now, if you want to earn a fixed interest rate on your savings for a period, consider CDs, which many banks, credit unions, and financial companies offer. And they come with FDIC or NCUA insurance if you purchase them from a participating institution. A CD is a type of time deposit because you put money in an account and withdraw it at a specified time, which is known as the maturity date. Taking money out of a CD before the maturity date typically comes with a penalty. So it's generally best to buy CDs only when you're sure you will not need the money until after maturity. In exchange for giving up access to your money during a CD's term, you may receive higher interest than with deposit accounts. As I mentioned, you get a guaranteed return no matter what happens in the economy. CD terms typically range from 6 months, maybe up to 5 years. Some may even go longer, with longer terms paying higher rates. And when a CD term ends, you get back your principal, so the amount you originally put in, plus the accumulated interest. Getting that fixed interest rate may work in your favor if interest rates drop after you buy a CD. But if they rise after you buy a CD, you're obviously going to get stuck with a lower interest rate for the entire term of the CD. But there is a popular strategy called CD laddering that you can use to reduce interest rate risk. So what is a CD ladder? Well, I want you to imagine that you just bought a $100,000 5-year CD paying 5%. Now, think about how terrible you'd feel if the interest rate for a 5-year CD went up to 6% the following year. You would be missing out on earning more interest because you locked up your money at 5% for 5 years and you can only withdraw it if you pay a penalty. So with CD laddering, the idea is that you buy multiple CDs with different maturity dates and interest rates. Each rung on the ladder represents a separate CD with a progressively longer term. So that helps you take advantage of rising rates over time, maximizing your potential earnings while keeping your savings liquid. So here's an example. With a laddering strategy, you might buy 5 CDs with your $100,000 instead of just one CD. For instance, you could put $20,000 in a 1-year CD, $20,000 in a 2-year CD, $20,000 in a 3-year CD, and so on up to a 5-year CD. After 1 year, when the first CD reaches maturity, you can use all or a portion of the money to purchase another 5-year CD. As your shortest CD matures, you can buy a longer-term CD that presumably has a higher interest rate. Again, this only works when interest rates are rising. So laddering protects you from missing higher returns when rates rise. You can earn more money and get greater flexibility. As each CD matures, you can renew it at the current rate or use your money for something completely different. When you begin shopping for CDs, you'll find many different types. For instance, there's a no penalty or liquid CD that allows you to withdraw money before maturity without paying a penalty, but it pays lower interest. You might find variable CDs that pay an interest rate based on an index, such as the Treasury bill or prime rate. And there are jumbo CDs that require a deposit of at least $100,000 and typically offer higher interest. The most common reason to buy CDs is when you have a relatively large amount of cash that you want to keep safe while earning more than you could with a high-yield savings or a money market account. It's difficult to recommend specific CDs because they vary considerably from bank to bank and are going to vary considerably depending on your chosen term and deposit amount. So Jane, if you decide that CDs are right for you, do plenty of research by checking institutions online and also local institutions that may offer competitive rates. So the options that I've covered here aren't the only places you could put short-term savings, but they are the most common and I think the easiest to research, open, and manage. Also note that opening a high-yield savings, a money market, a rewards checking, or a CD does not affect your credit scores. You have to provide your full name, your address, your social security number, and a government-issued ID. And once your account is open, you can link it to your existing checking or other financial accounts for withdrawals and transfers, including your initial opening deposit. Before choosing an account, ask yourself the following questions. What am I saving for? How much will I deposit? When will I need to use this money? Could I need emergency access to the funds? And what penalty would I have to pay to tap the funds, if any? So if you want to earn as much interest as possible while accessing your funds, I think a high-yield savings or money market is best. But if you don't need access over a given period, a CD might be better if it pays a higher interest rate than the alternatives. And you can always open more than one account to meet your different savings needs. Hannah and Jane, thanks again for your questions, and I hope this has been helpful for you and everyone listening. That's all for now. I'll talk to you next week. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Steve Rickyberg. Our director of podcast is Brandon Gachus. Our digital operations specialist is Holly Hutchins. Our advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. Our marketing and publicity associate is Davina Tomlin. And our marketing assistant is Cameron Lacey.